What is going on, Polestar fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to give you a good overview of what is happening with Polestar behind the scenes and whether this sell-off today is justified or not. So I'm going to go over all the stuff you need to know. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get right to it. So as you can tell based on the intraday chart, the market's been open for roughly about an hour. It doesn't necessarily know where to go right now, but it is largely because of CPI. So CPI did come in a little bit higher on the year over year. So that has some people very much sparked. But as you can see, the month over month, for the most part, is in line with the forecast. And as you can tell based on the breakdown right here, I always like to look at the data points because there's one thing just to look at basic stats and make an assumption based on that. But what is the data truly saying? So for instance, as you can see, it was that 0.5% like I mentioned. And typically energy is one very big contributing factor to its skewness, if that's even a word. But energy did go up roughly about 2%, meaning, so if you just do the basic math, the other basket items did in fact go down 1.5%. So in general though, that is a very positive sign, which leads me to believe that this all is a very big overreaction. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. But not only that though, Polestar is already seen as a fairly big value play in general because as you can see based on the latest Morningstar report, the fair market value for Polestar is $7.02. So once again, take that how you see that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just listing a lot of points for you guys to interpret and digest. But one thing that you cannot ignore is the amount of buying that's been happening. So this is the latest round of 13Fs. All the green ones are brand new positions. Red ones are kind of ones that did reduce or close out the position. So Barclays, for instance, did close out all of their puts, which of course can be seen as very positive because typically puts are negative. But generally speaking, if you do look, BlackRock increased 6,900%, massive growth. Investco as well, 20%. Looking right here, GWM, looks like also Inscript, Parallax all made brand new positions, and JP Morgan and Credit Suisse is actually a pretty big deal, even though it's only about 19,000 shares. During Q4, they were very much almost on the teetering point of bankruptcy, very close to that in fact. So I think at the end of the day, Credit Suisse was reducing a lot of their junk crap. So in general, for them to make a brand new position in Polestar, that is actually a very good deal. Like I said, I think a lot of institutions think long term and see a lot of value in Polestar. And like I've said in previous videos, Polestar is the only company in 2022 to actually hit their production targets that haven't obviously reduced and so forth. But so Polestar definitely is doing something right behind the scenes. Of course, we'll find out a little bit more details on March the 2nd during their actual earnings call, which in case you guys want to tune in, you can always subscribe and join me for this because I'm going to be live streaming that, which in general, I think that they're going to say a lot of good things, nothing necessarily negative, because based on some latest articles, it does look like in fact they're going to be upping and investing in technology. And I think that's one of the biggest negatives that people saw Polestar as, is just being able to produce a ton of vehicles, but their technology has been a little bit more subpar, especially with autonomous driving and so forth. But Polestar is investing in that. So definitely a very positive sign. And as far as based on the options activity as well, so far this morning within, like I said, the first hour and a bit, it does look fairly optimistic and a little bit more mixed, but more calls as well, which of course you can tell is orienting towards a $7 price range. And of course, with it being $5.49, that is a pretty big return on investment if you want to consider it that way. And I'll give you a quick update on shorts. As I've said in the past, I don't see Polestar as a squeeze by any means, but I like to use this as a good benchmark. So short score is currently 73, utilization is 96.51%. And as far as what shorts are doing right now, they're increasing 5.75 thousand shares. So pretty small in the grand scheme of things. Cost to borrow though is fairly high, so 99.86, and 3.2 is the short interest percentage of the free float. So in general, like I said, I don't think there's ever going to be a squeeze with Polestar. Just shorts are smarter than that. They know not to necessarily get into the only EV play that's generally ramping up and doing what they say they're going to do. And keep in mind though, like I've already said in the past, Polestar and Tesla are the only pure global EV plays, and Polestar, like I said, if they're really ramping up on production, that will help the market price considerably. But with all of that, I'll just quickly pop over and give you some technical analysis. And as of right now, I do have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. Momentum, number of retail investors for the most part have been flat. And like I said, I think that's a very good thing, negative thing, all in one. Depends on how you guys interpret that. Stochastic right now is a little bit more oversold. So it is currently at 22. It went from very much overbought to oversold fairly fast. Looking on the actual chart though, it is actually sitting on some pretty good support. So it's basically right below that 50-day moving average, which of course in general is a little bit more of a pivot point, but especially like I mentioned, I think this is a little bit more of an overreaction today. So people will really buy the dip if you want to consider it that way, but it is currently sitting on, it looks like the 100-day moving average exactly, so $5.51, and that's basically what the price is. So I think it's on the very good support as of right now, which of course if it does continue to trend down and break below that, then you'll have to look at the previous data just to kind of give you some assumption of where the actual support is, or the next support. So in general though, I think people are going to realize that this is a very good time to buy, as what I've already mentioned about the huge amount of institutions buying and so forth. So I think this dip is going to be bought up very fast, and hopefully from here it should be able to trend up. But no matter what, let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Give yourself a shout out as well if you've been buying, selling, holding, whatever it might be doing, or whatever you might be doing. Give yourself a shout out in the comments below. If you do like my content, want to support the channel, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Polestar.